Welcome, one and all, to the very first edition of Random X Radio version 2.0. I'm your host. You can call me Sam. You can call me Professor. You can call me whatever you want, really. I don't mind. Well, I suppose since this is the very first episode, it would be good if I gave you a little introduction about myself. I started out... I did my first radio show back about in my senior year of high school, so about 5.5 years ago, which makes me about 23, by the way, and I really enjoyed it. And actually, I took my name for this particular show from that show, since that was the original Random X, and I'm hoping that the guy who I worked with will be fine with me using this instead. I'm sure I'll be fine with it. Anyway, I had a lot of fun doing radio, and I went on later to do more radio by myself with what I thought was a really great acronym for a radio show. I called it CHORE, but it stood for the coolest hour of radio ever. And it was a lot of fun. I did community radio for about another year or so after high school, but then I stopped and I never really got back to starting up again. But now, since it seems like everyone's doing podcasting, I figure, well, I can do it too. Why not? I have experience with radio, and I've been told I have a decent radio voice. Haha, very funny. So I figure, why not? So here I am today, trying out my first podcast. And I really want to thank SwitchPod for putting up a really great little site that seems to be putting everything really simply for those of us who aren't incredibly technologically advanced, and just letting me do what I want and put it up for however many people who want to listen to it. So, with that being said, let me tell you a little bit about myself. As I mentioned before, I just turned 23 a couple of months ago. I recently graduated from the University of California, Davis. I have my bachelor's degree in music, yay, which really does not mean anything. I can't really do much of anything, really, with it. But I figure maybe sometime I'll be able to say, hey, I got a bachelor's degree. Yippee. I am a self-proclaimed nerd. I enjoy video games an awful lot, and this will probably be one of the main topics of discussion on this podcast for however long it decides to run. Besides that, I also have a fairly decent amount of experience, decent meaning about 3 or 4 years of experience with tabletop role-playing games, such as, mostly pretty much entirely relegated to Dungeons & Dragons. But I've had a lot of fun. I've been in about 4 or 5 campaigns, four campaigns, and I just recently started my own campaign, which was meant specifically to be a one-off show, just to honor the memory of Gary Gygax. But then people expressed enough interest in it that they said I should continue, so I am. And I just had my first session of real original material last Friday, and I think I did pretty good, but I'm going to have to get the opinions of the players to see if everything was good, or if it was bad, or if things needed adjusting or whatever. Besides that, I have also the bachelor's degree in music was for composition, not for performance, so I wrote music for 3 years over there. I did have to have some performance stuff, so I do play guitar, I play bass, I can play a little bit of keyboards, and I want to learn pretty much every instrument under the sun. It's a lot of woodwinds and strings and some percussion things too. What I really want to do is be able to afford Rock Band so I can start playing drums, but that won't be for a while since I don't own the 360 and I don't really plan on it, seeing as how they have almost a guaranteed 1/6 chance of failing, getting a Red Ring of Death or whatever. And I don't want a PS3 because they don't have any games that I'm interested in buying besides Rock Band. Also, it's ridiculously expensive. What else? I enjoy watching movies like everyone else, but I do have I would consider I have a decently eclectic taste in movies. One of my favorite movies has to be UHF, with Weird Al Yankovic and Michael Richards, among other people, just for the sheer randomness and just the sheer awesomeness of it. And if you haven't seen it, you should definitely watch it. Also, I enjoy the Lord of the Rings films as well as Lord of the Rings books. I consider them one of the finest trilogies ever written, or made, or watched, or whatever. I also am a big fan of Douglas Adams. I have read his entire Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy trilogy in 5 parts, and I'm going to be very soon reading his Dirk Gently novels. And I also picked up The Salmon of Doubt, which was the most recent book published with a lot of his earlier writings and little snippets of stuff that he wrote before his death. I also am a fairly decent music buff, although less so than I used to be, because I'm getting kind of tired of music, seeing as how I was a music major and I had to listen to music for 3 years non-stop. It was kind of insane. But I figure I have a decently eclectic taste in music as well. Live radio, everyone. Not really live, but you get the point. I have a decent taste in music, I think. It ranges from a lot of classical stuff, like I really enjoy Beethoven and Erik Satie, who I think is one of the most underrated composers in the history of time, to more recent stuff. I enjoy some jazz, not very much. I'm a big proponent of rock and hard rock, that kind of stuff. I really enjoy bands like Tool and The Perfect Circle and Our Lady Peace. I love Ozzy Osbourne. I'm a big fan of some of the more comedic bands like Bowling for Soup. They're probably one of my favorite sort of comedy punk bands. Also one of my favorites has got to be Mr. Bungle, or pretty much anything with Mike Patton in it, just because the guy is pretty insane and a lot of fun to listen to. I also enjoy some of the heavier stuff like the Dillinger Escape Plan. I like, let's see, all sorts of stuff. But, well, you get the point. I'll probably talk about music some other time.